Last bit of sound failed us. I saw Joe's lips moving, and that was a good sign, uh, especially when he walked away. That was my signal, I guess, to step up. I'm delighted to welcome both the Wilmore campus, the XL campus, and the Orlando campus, where I happen to be at this moment, on what is our extraordinary moment. I was not in Washington, D.C. on January 20th, but I'd rather be right here, right now, for this great, great day. My role is a short one at this moment. Namely, they tell me that it is the board's job to elect a president, and then it is the president's job to run the seminary. The board has been led in this recent period by Dr. Dan Johnson, and therefore it's Dan Johnson's privilege to tell you what the board has done. And I'm going to turn everything over, therefore, to a person with whom I have enjoyed working so much, with the whole board, and recently with Dan Johnson as its chair. Dan, you tell them the rest.
Thanks, Ellsworth. Thank you. Before I have the privilege of making this introduction, I want to express my appreciation, our appreciation for Ellsworth Callis staying on a little longer than he originally planned. Ellsworth, thank you. And I also want to say a brief word of appreciation to the Presidential Search Committee, whose work took them a little longer than they originally planned, but thanks be to God, they were patient and waited, and especially I want to thank Dr. Jim Smith for his leadership in that. Thank you, Jim. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I have the distinct honor to introduce to you the President-elect and Mrs. Timothy Craig Tennent. And do you all want to wait there, or you want to come up here? Why don't you come up so people can see you? Yeah. Welcome. Let me tell you a little bit about them. Dr. Tennent is a scholar who's published over 60 articles and books. He's a scholar's scholar and a professor's professor. He's a churchman of the First Order, an ordained United Methodist pastor. He's a world Christian who's taught every summer for the last 20 years in the theological school in India and has written extensively on the engagement of Christianity and other world religions. He was born in Atlanta, Georgia, attended various schools, Young Harris College, Oral Roberts University, a Master of Divinity from Gordon Conwell, Master of Theology from Princeton Theological Seminary, and a PhD from the University of Edinburgh. After the completion of his Master of Divinity degree, he returned to the North Georgia Conference of the United Methodist Church, was appointed to the pastorate of small rural circuit, where his churches grew, and he received the Excellence in Evangelism Award for 1986, 87, and 88. He's taught at Toccoa Falls College in Toccoa. At Edinburgh, he did his PhD. He studied at the Center for the Study of Christianity in the Non-Western World and wrote his PhD thesis on building Christianity on Indian foundations. From 1998 to the present, he's been on the faculty of Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary, where he's the professor of world missions and Indian studies. He's also the director of mission programs and the chairman of the J. Christie Wilson Jr. Center for World Missions of the Ockenga Institute of Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary. He is a world Christian with a world vision that will take Asbury into wonderful new arenas. In conjunction with his teaching responsibilities at Gordon, for the past 20 years, he's served as a visiting lecturer at the Luther W. New Junior Theological College in Dehradun, India, where he has taught for 6 weeks each summer and directs the Hindi translation department, which oversees the translation of theological books into Hindi. He also continued to serve the local church, and for the last 10 years has been a pastor or interim pastor. In the meantime, he's written all those other books. He's an award-winning author and has written several books, including Windows into World Missions, Building Christianity on Indian Foundations, Christianity at the Religious Roundtable, Your Questions, Our Answers, Theology in the Context of World Christianity, Speaking About What We Have Seen and Heard, and Islam, an Introductory Study. His next book is a mere 617-page textbook on missions and will be published next year, and all of you will have the pleasure of reading that as your classes. It's entitled Invitation to World Missions, a Trinitarian Missiology for the 21st Century. He's a sought-after speaker and has presented scholarly papers at over 25 conferences and seminars. He was one of 4 persons selected to participate in the Lilly-funded Harvard training program for emerging seminary leaders in how to better lead and guide theological seminaries. He's married to the wonderful Julie Myers Tennent, who's a graduate also of Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary with a Master's of Christian Education. She's an outstanding musician, church organist, has created a number of CDs. They have 2 children, a 22-year-old son, Jonathan, who's an editor at Whitaker House Publishing Company in Pennsylvania, and a 20-year-old daughter, Bethany, who's a junior at Houghton College. There are many other things I could tell you about these wonderful persons, but the best thing I have to share with you this morning is that upon the unanimous recommendation of the Presidential Search Committee and the unanimous election of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Tim Tennent and Julie, Dr. Tim Tennent is our newly elected president of Asbury Theological Seminary.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Chairman Johnson, thank you, and the trustees, President Callis, your kindness has been so great the last few days, and faculty, staff, administration, students, I just want to thank you for this privilege. I've been asked to be the next president of Asbury Theological Seminary. Thank you. For the over 85 years, you have a long and distinguished record in theological education, and I look forward with all my heart to joining this vibrant community of faith and learning. To the students gathered here, and of course through the connection in Wilmore, I want to say that I have given my entire life to students. I love students. I love teaching students, and I hope that you know that as a president, you have someone who knows that we're here because of you and your calling to serve Christ and His holy church. To the faculty, I just want to say that I understand that students come because of you, and I hope that I can do my job so you can do what only you can do. And so it's a great honor to be here, to be part of this community. My wife and I look forward to it very much. We believe that God has called us to this. Theological education is facing many formidable challenges in these days. We don't need to enumerate those today. But the good news is we also are facing some extraordinary opportunities and some unparalleled privileges which are ours, really unparalleled in the history of the world. And I believe that Asbury has some unbelievable opportunities which I relish the opportunity to be a part of in the days and months and years ahead. When Henry Clay Morrison, just 4 months before he passed away in 1941, November of 1941, he wrote in his great beloved journal, the Pentecostal Herald, he wrote that the building up of Asbury Theological Seminary is one of the greatest works in the world. And I can only echo that sentiment today. And I believe that because we serve a risen Christ, He has summoned us to this ministry and summoned us all to great opportunities which await us as we serve Him. I thank you for the opportunity, and please, I earnestly ask for your prayers as Joe and I both move to Wilmore and take up this challenge. Thank you.